Hey everybody, William here. Going to talk about a little bit of what we're using to fish this year. Paul and I really got the bug last year thanks to Ryan Dower, who took us trout fishing, and as a result we went out and we bought this. It is a Zebco, Shakespeare microcast rod. I don't know if you could see that microcast there. And a Zebco Mercury reel. And this reel is pre-spun from the factory, as it says here on the sticker, with Cajun line, whatever that is. It's a red monofilament, looks to be about maybe 4 to 6 pounds test. Anyway, it's a very nice little rod. Surprisingly, it's very good. It stands about 5 feet long, it looks like. At the end of the year, we decided to upgrade our equipment a little bit, so we switched to this guy here, which again I believe as the first one we bought them at Walmart. Shakespeare Mantis. Now it seems to me that was a Mantis, was it? Yeah, Mercury, sorry, Mercury. So this is a Shakespeare Mantis rod. And I believe it is about, I'm going to say 6 feet long. And it came originally with this reel right here. Also, Shakespeare Mantis. Unfortunately, we had some problems with this. This says 1 ball bearing. That doesn't seem like much. Anyway, so we had some problems with the brake release and the button getting hinky here, and it wouldn't work reliably, so we decided to replace this. And, actually this happened a little bit later after some other things happened, but we'll go ahead and talk about this now. We replaced it with a Rhino 33, which is this particular reel here. Again, spin caster, normal design, but this one is it's RSC3, it says. I thought it said 33 on the back, so I don't remember. It says it has 3 bearing system. And from what it's got a rubber enclosed brake release and double-handled retrieve with nice rubber-coated handles. Seems to work pretty well. We don't really use it all that much, but we wanted to at least have this spin caster back in shape without having the problems with the button. Now, so some things have happened additionally this year. I got into the trout fishing with Ryan and of course Brian Dellinger, and so Ryan suggested that I go out and get a similar setup to what he uses primarily for trout, and I did. Again, Walmart. This particular reel is a Mitchell 300XE, which is I think is a very nice system. I like it. It's a little heavy, but it works well, and it is paired with a Shakespeare Ugly Stick Light Pro, which I think you can see right there. Ugly Stick Light Pro. Yep. This works pretty darn well. This has served me well this year to fish trout, panfish, and we even have caught some pretty good bass. In fact, the biggest one I caught this year was 2 3/4 pounds night before last, and was caught on this exact rig right here. This works well. However, while I was in Nashville, while Paul and I were in Nashville visiting Laura a few weeks ago, I wanted to pick up another rod and reel for her that I could use while I was there. So there was a little selfish motive for the gift, but she insisted that I simply buy one for myself, whatever I wanted, and keep it there at her house. Well, again, off to Walmart, and while I was there, I picked up one of these, which is the Abu Garcia Cardinal series. And if you're not familiar with the Cardinal series, they have 4 different models within that series. They have the 400, the 401, 402, and 403. This is the 402i, which is a medium weight spinning reel. You can see it's an open bail style spinning reel, and it has a medium weight 6.5 foot long rod. This was purchased as a combo from Walmart. Interestingly enough, I think I paid $69 for this rig. Actually, not this one, but the one that's still down in Hendersonville, outside Nashville. But that's another story. We'll talk about that in a minute. So this is it, 6.5 feet long, nice stout rod and reel. And what I found while I was down, oh, and I need to finish the thought. It was $70, I think I paid for the one in Nashville. They have them at the Walmart right here in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, right up the road, for $49.95 on sale, and they had a whole box full. Must have had at least a dozen or 15 of them. So apparently they're closing out the model or what, I don't know. But if you're in the market, that's definitely a place to go. Of course, it's middle of summer 2012. If you watch this video later, who knows. So anyway, what I found with this while I was down there was that I could cast this thing very comfortably, and I could cast the lures exactly where I wanted them. Straight in a line, distance was no problem. This is just a marvelous system. This uses, I believe, 7 bearings, and it has also a single anti-reverse bearing, I think is how they describe it. I really don't know what that means, but what I will tell you is it's extremely smooth, extremely strong, and it's quite light. So that's what we've got going on with this. When I came back from Nashville, I liked it so much that I went ahead and got this one here. In comparison to the Mitchell / Ugly Stick system, I gotta say I've never been able to cast very accurately with this. It's nice, it's stout, it does the job, it hauls them in. I can cast much more accurately with this one. And this is significantly heavier than the Cardinal 402i. So there you have it. Moving on. Started doing some bass fishing, again, courtesy of Brian and Ryan. And so I got the bait caster bug, as any uber geek would do, and I decided that I needed to get some sort of bait caster reel and see what all the fuss was about. So, back to Walmart. Abu Garcia. This is the Black Max bait caster. It's basically their entry-level bait caster. It is a standard right-hand retrieve, which I'm not really sure I like. I think that at some point I will probably switch over and use left-handed retrieve. I am right-handed, but it's nice to be able to hold the rod, release the brake, cast, feather the spool with the thumb like you're supposed to, and then when you're ready, using your left hand like you do with a spinning reel, lock it and begin your retrieve. I have no idea why the people who invented these figured you would want to cast and then switch hands and begin your retrieve. I like to stick with the right hand in control of the rod and reel, the left hand winding the handles. So anyway, but this works very well. It's got the magnetic adjustment on the side. It's got the mechanical brake over here. Drag system is underneath the crank handles. And it's very low profile, as you can see. Not much more than 1.5 times the thickness of the handles here sticking up above the rod. So it's very small. It's easy to fit in your hand when you're doing the retrieve. So I like that a lot. It's very good. I had tons and tons of problems with backlashes and bird's nests early on. I seem to have finally gotten a handle that. The biggest trick wasn't adjusting the magnets, which I've got fairly high. Wasn't getting this tweaked just right because I just set it to where the lure slowly falls. The trick was sticking with nice heavy lures, not using light stuff. Light stuff is deadly. It will not work right. So since I've stuck to heavier lures, I've not had any problems casting this at all. I'm still not able to cast it as far as that 402i Cardinal. So, you know, what to say about that, I don't know. So, last but not least, last week, after our return and getting settled back in at home, I saw this in Walmart and decided that I really needed to get this for Paul. This is also a Cardinal 400, just like that other one that we just saw, but this is, I don't know if you can see it right there. This is the 400 UI. This is the ultralight model. So this is the smallest. I believe that the rod is only 5.5 feet long right here. Probably can't say it. 5.5 feet long. It's very, very light. I don't know what the total weight is, but it's almost not there. It's extremely easy to hold. The spool is quite a bit smaller, so you don't have nearly as much capacity. But again, the intended purpose would be for lighter tackle you're going to be doing close. So here's the 402, and there's the 400U. As you can see, there's a lot more capacity for line. Whoops, can't really see it that way. A lot more capacity for line on the 402 than there is on the 400. But this little guy is great. Paul, in the last 48 hours, how many have you caught over the last 2 days? Something like 50 fish Paul has caught on this rod and reel in the last 48 hours. The 3 different outings. One was just a few small fish in a brook. The rest were all panfish down at Lake Runnymede in Windsor, Vermont. Phenomenal, phenomenal setup. I wish they had it for $49.95 like they did the 402s, but even at full price, actually it's less than MSRP, but Walmart still doesn't quite have it down to that $49.95 price. Anyway, this has been a great rod and reel. So you may have noticed I showed you the Cajun line on the first one. Ryan is really into braid, and I got to tell you that I am too now. I really like it. This is Spider Wires, the company, and this is their stealth braid in I don't know if this is moss green or what they call it, but it's some sort of green. It is the diameter of 6-pound test, but it is 20 pounds. I'm going to have to redo this section of video now. Where was I? This is Spider Wire Stealth Braid. It is 20-pound test, but it is only the same diameter as 6-pound monofilament. Awesome stuff. It's very flexible. It doesn't stretch like mono. I really don't see any downside. Brian has said that he thinks that it might not cast as far, and I suspect, given my recent experiences with the spinning reels, that I think that the issue may simply be my use of the reel, because I'm able to cast really, really far, certainly with the spinning reels, and now even with the bait casters with the heavier baits, I'm doing pretty well. So this is how I got a 500-yard spool from Amazon.com, and I think this was $42. So that'll last a good long while and do a whole lot of rods. As you can see, I think 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of these 6 are strung with this stuff right here. So that's it for rods and reels. We'll be back in a minute to talk about some of the other gear, lures, etc. Okay, we're back. Part 2 of the 2012 Fishing Geeks gear extravaganza, or at least my gear and what I'm using this year. We've already talked about the rods and reels. This is a quick run through of the tackle box. By the way, this is a $8.95 Plano, very simple, couldn't be simpler tackle box, but it's worked great this year for us, and frankly, I think the size imposes a certain discipline in terms of the amount of stuff we have that we carry around. So there you have it. Just added some Rapala line scissors. I think these are really handy for cutting bait off if you've got a fish who's swallowed a bait too deeply. And also just for cutting the ends off the tag lines and so forth when you're tying on. I don't know where this came from. So what we've got here is an assortment of, in the top, this is sort of a junk bin over to the side here. We've got a number of small trays that are dedicated, this one to sinkers of various descriptions. We've got our split shots and our sliding bullet sinkers that we use. And we have over here in these bins swivel with the clips. I don't know what you call these exactly, because the straight swivel is just the part without the clip attachment. But anyway, I've got the small ones in the front compartment and a little bit larger ones in the rear compartment. And over here we've got some jigs and a couple of crankbaits in here. I have purchased a lot of crankbaits this year. We bought a lot of stuff from Walmart, of course, but while we were in Nashville, we went to Bass Pro Shops in downtown. Actually, I don't think it is downtown, but it's near Opryland, the Grand Ole Opry. We bought a lot of these things, and unfortunately, we've also lost a lot of them in the trees and in the weeds and so forth. So I guess that's to be expected. Something that I started doing just relatively recently is, I've been using leaders all year, but I started using, I don't know if you can even see this. This is fluorocarbon, and it's 17-pound fluorocarbon, pretty darn heavy stuff. And I've been using this as a leader both because it's very difficult to see in the water, so the fish don't see it, and also it's extremely strong. Now, obviously, it's probably not quite as strong as the 20-pound Spiderwire Stealth Braid that I showed you before, but it's still quite heavy and it's not going to break as easily as a lighter monofilament of the same diameter. So here we've got a safety pin spinnerbait attached to a bibless crankbait. Again, I think that's one I got from down at Bass Pro Shop. But these are a lot of fun. I haven't really caught anything with these yet, but they're just fun. They're fun to watch go through the water. So if nothing else, it's entertaining. Let's see. A lot of our lures are gone from out of here, so we'll have to look at those elsewhere. I've got a couple that this buzz bait, I forget the name of this. It's a real popular one, but man, this thing goes across the surface of the water like a motorboat. Just got this. Haven't really had any success with it, but we'll see. A couple of other crankbaits that we haven't opened yet. A nice deep diver. Really like these. The one bass I caught in Hendersonville, I caught on a deep diving crankbait just like that. And of course the venerable Rapala series, but this is a deep runner with a very large bib on it. Those are fun. And let's see. So here we've got a nice ribbit frog that's been set up to be weedless with I guess it's a 3/0 hook right in the body, so it's skinned a little bit up into his back so that it doesn't come out when you're going through the weeds, but if a nice big bass bites down on it, well, that pops right out. These I typically have not been using a leader on because they're in such heavy weeds you can't really see it anyway. Here we have one of my favorites. This is a watermelon colored, I think this might be a Yum, not sure, but again, this is on a 3/0 hook, Texas rig, monofilament leader. That's how it rolls these days, and that works well. You can see that we've got some Senkos here, the Yum F2 series. This is the one that really I've caught a lot of fish on. Some odds and end gulps, and some power baits with the squiggly tails, and of course the swim bait, the Shaky Shad, which I didn't catch anything in Nashville, so that's where I got it. We'll see. That may or may not pan out. Down in here we've got all of our various snelled hooks. We've got number 8s for the brookies. We've got number 6s for the rainbow trouts, and number 2s. Well, I don't know what I was thinking for those, but you never know. It's never a bad thing to have those. And the various offset worm hooks. We've got the pear-shaped Gamakatsu, I guess is how he pronounces that, 3/0. There's an Eagle Claw 4. And then we've got the more straight-shanked Gamakatsus, and 3/0 and 2/0. I think these are great for soft baits. Those are awesome. Then down in here we've got, of course, the scale, and this has a funny little built-in tape measure, but it doesn't stay open on its own. So unless you have two people, that's hard to do, which is why we have this, the lever lock Stanley tape measure. Pull it out for as big as the fish is, take your hand off the brake, and it stays open at whatever distance you put it. Very handy to have that. Got some power bait in here that's utterly worthless. Don't know why it's in here. Seemed like a good idea at the time. And some extra split shots and swivels down in there. A few bobbers, which I almost never use, but Paul uses frequently. Oh, and then we got some of these high visibility bobbers up here. Oh, this is a nice addition. It's a Berkley multi-tool, small multi-tool. This is what we use for almost every fish that we release, getting the hook out if we can't get the hook out by hand. For panfish, we've been flattening out the barbs, but it's still sometimes tough to get them out. So there you have it with the main tackle box. Maybe we can take a minute and look at some of the other smaller tackle setups we use here. We've got, let's see, my main lure box here. We've got a bunch of spinners, inline spinners, which I like very much. Paul's caught a bunch of fish on these. I've caught some this year. This is kind of tangled there. Oh, ow, ow. I hate when I do that. There we go. This is a Blue Fox Vibrax. It looks like a number 2, I think it says there. Yeah, number 2. And this one is glow in the dark. And it's got a little skirt on the treble hook. And it's got a brass insert inside the bell so that it supposedly vibrates. I don't know. I know that we do catch fish with these perch, lots of panfish, lots of sunfish. There's another one with the pink body, also a number 2. And here we've got a couple of, I think these are just, oops, he's all kind of stuck. I think these are grubs, but they're jig heads, and supposedly crappie like these. I don't know. I don't think we've caught anything with them, but we keep some around. They weren't very expensive, and they're fun. Of course, we got the strange little inline spinners here. I bought a whole box of these. I think it had 6 in a little package. It's another offset worm hook. And we've got some spoons in here. I haven't even had a chance to use these. We've got a bunch of them. And a small crankbait. As mentioned, I really like those. A lot of fun. Pauses. So here we have some rattly bibless crankbaits. I really like these shiny ones. I seem to get a lot of attention with these in the water. You can see the fish following them. Also with the white ones. The one bass I caught in Hendersonville, I caught with a white crankbait with, it was a deep diver there, it had a big bib and it had a red eye and it was a white body. So for whatever reason, it was so hot. For whatever reason, it was attracting them that day. And we've got some more, another deep diver here, red on the bottom, the green on the top. That seems to be popular. Fish like that. Got the hula popper and got a crayfish in there. And of course, the KVD Strike King Sexy Frog. I love this thing. It's kind of expensive. Have not caught a single fish on it. I've had several strike at it, but I think they were too small. But anyway, that's in there as well. So there you have it on my little lure box. And Paul, can I show yours off? I'll show Paul's off for a second here. Similar stuff. Oh, look, he's got one of the small inline spinners there. I really like that one. That's one we've caught a lot of fish on, the Zero Vibrax. And he's got a frog crankbait bibless, got a Rapala number 7 down in there, lizard, various spinner up here, spoon lure, and a bunch of little crankbaits. We have a lot of fun. Try all sorts of different stuff. So that's Paul's. And then here, the latest thing I've set up, which I haven't really used these very much, but as often happens, I got the idea, so I sort of went hog wild. Jigs. All sorts of jigs. Small ones, finesse jigs, flipping jigs, jigs with rattles in them. Oh, and of course we got this mini frog, which I used last night for the first time, but didn't really catch anything. Didn't see any interest, but these jigs are really good for heavy weed cover. This one's got the couple of vibrating doohickeys down in there. But these are good for dense weeds, lily pads, and I'm sure we'll find an application for them. But I got a bunch of different colors and several different sizes and put them in their own box here. So we'll see how that goes. That's pretty much it. That's how we roll. That's how we do it. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Anyway, so long. Have fun and catch the big ones.